You arrive before sunrise. 7:12 a.m. Plastic badge still warm from the printer. Nobody looks at you. The office smells like burnt dust, overclocked desktops, microwaved noodles, cheap carpet absorbing 20 years of stress. You carry a Lenovo ThinkPad and a notebook you'll never read again. Your manager says, "Simple task." It is not simple. You spend 6 hours changing wire labels in AutoCAD. One typo crashes the simulation. You don't understand half the acronyms. PLC, SCADA, VFD, EMI. Everybody speaks like a military unit. You pretend to understand. You nod. You Google everything in the bathroom stall. Lunch costs $14.82. You check your bank app twice before paying. At 9:43 p.m., you finally get one green checkmark. Nobody notices. You screenshot it anyway. Now they trust you with real voltage. Barely. You wear steel-toe boots with permanent concrete dust on the soles. Amazon Basics polo shirt. Safety glasses scratched white at the edges. Your apartment has folding chairs instead of furniture. You start saying things like, three-phase imbalance at parties. Nobody asks follow-up questions. You survive on Monster Energy and vending machine peanuts. Every mistake becomes physical. A relay trips. Production stops. 30 workers stare at you like you detonated the building. Your heartbeat moves into your throat. You learn quickly. Electricity doesn't care about confidence, only precision. You start carrying a fluke multimeter everywhere, like a gunslinger. One day you solve a fault nobody else could find. Loose neutral wire, hidden behind insulation foam, 7 seconds of silence. Then somebody says, "Good catch." You think about that sentence for 3 weeks. Now the emails have your name in bold. You manage projects worth $480,000. Still eating gas station sandwiches. You stop looking at sunsets. You only notice lighting quality now. You can identify transformer hum frequencies from 50 feet away. You develop permanent eye twitching from fluorescent lights. The company gives you dual monitors. It feels like a promotion from peasant to knight. You discover the terrifying truth. Most infrastructure is held together by zip ties and optimism. You enter substations that look older than your parents. Rust, heat, oil stains thick as syrup. Everything vibrates. Everything sounds dangerous. You stop fearing electricity. You start respecting paperwork. One unsigned permit can destroy $1 million in 12 seconds. You begin speaking slower, more carefully, because now people actually build things based on your words. Now your mistakes cost cities. You own navy blue suits that smell faintly like ozone. Your watch costs $8,000. You still forget to eat lunch. You walk through construction sites like a war general. Everybody moves aside. Junior engineers stop talking when you enter the room. You open electrical rooms nobody else touches. Inside, heat, copper bus bars, a low-frequency growl vibrating through your ribs. You diagnose failures by sound now. One click means overload. One buzz means insulation breakdown. One silence means catastrophe. You stop explaining things twice. You've seen too many preventable disasters, burned panels, arc flashes, men crying in parking lots after failed inspections. At home, your kitchen lights flicker once. You freeze instantly. Trauma response. You check the breaker panel at 1:14 a.m. wearing socks and a Rolex. Your wife asks if you're coming back to bed. You say, "Something feels wrong." Now you don't build systems. You build people. Your calendar looks like a hostage negotiation spreadsheet. Every hour belongs to someone else. You wear custom-tailored jackets over black company polos, noise-canceling AirPods, leather laptop bag, cold eyes. The younger engineers worship you. You secretly envy plumbers. At least water leaks slowly. Electricity kills instantly. You sit in million-dollar meetings discussing a backup power redundancy for hospitals. One bad calculation means ventilators stop. Nobody laughs anymore. The pressure changes your face. Sharper jaw. permanent forehead tension, sleep deprivation hidden behind expensive grooming. You start waking up at 3 a.m., remembering unfinished calculations. Your therapist calls it occupational hypervigilance. You call it Tuesday. Your salary crosses $210,000. You still feel poor because now failure has become mathematical. You barely touch software anymore. Now you make decisions, the dangerous kind. Entire skyscrapers wait for your approval. You walk through airports in all black cashmere, carrying 2 phones and a titanium pen. People assume you work in finance. You don't correct them. The projects become surreal. Data centers consuming more electricity than small countries. Underground rail systems. Defense contracts wrapped in NDAs. You sit inside conference rooms colder than operating theaters. Screens glow blue across exhausted faces. Everyone waits for you to speak. You study load forecasts for 30 seconds, then point once. That feeder fails first. Silence, because everybody knows you're usually right. You no longer feel excitement, only consequence. Your son asks what you do for work. You pause too long before answering, because the truth sounds insane. I prevent invisible disasters. He nods like he understands. He doesn't. Now you haven't touched a wire in years. Your hands are soft again. Your inbox receives 600 emails a day. You wear Italian wool suits inside buildings your teams designed. Entire city blocks illuminate because of decisions you approved during a 14-minute Zoom call. You spend more time discussing budgets than physics. You hate it. But this is what winning looks like. Glass offices, private drivers, business class flights at 35,000 feet, and constant dread. Every power outage becomes personal. Every incident report arrives with legal teams attached. You stop sleeping deeply. Your Apple Watch tracks stress levels like a dying patient monitor. At dinner parties, people call you successful. They don't see the ulcers. They don't hear the phantom transformer hum that still follows you home after midnight. Now you exist above engineering. You sell the future, clean energy, AI infrastructure, smart grids, autonomous everything. Investors clap at your presentations. You haven't opened AutoCAD in 11 years. Your office sits 40 stories above the city. Your systems partially power. Floor-to-ceiling glass, silent air conditioning, single malt whiskey untouched beside a $14,000 monitor setup. You wear minimalist black designer clothes now. No logos, no stains, no dust. You look expensive, but hollow, because you remember exactly where this started. A flickering office, a cheap badge, a borrowed laptop. You remember eating vending machine peanuts while debugging wire diagrams at midnight. Now your signature moves hundreds of millions of dollars. And somehow, you feel less connected to electricity than ever before. The city glows outside your window, substations humming, transmission lines stretching into darkness. Millions of lights depending on systems nobody thinks about. Systems built by exhausted engineers with bloodshot eyes and cold coffee, just like you once were. You stare at the skyline, and for 1 second, you miss the sound of relays clicking in an empty room at 2 a.m.